And then I shall record a new audiobook. Then I shall record them because it's the job I plan to do. It's what I love most. Well, besides, her. Hello everyone, my name's Stonsey Boy, and welcome back to Reading with Stonsey. Today we are reading pages 164 to 182, chapters 14 to 50, only 18 pages, so it ain't gonna be that bad. Actually, it should be relatively easy. So without further ado, and without any further interruptions, let's begin. Chapter 14. Always be aware of your surroundings. Yeah, I was happy for the shield, but dude, did it take some practice. First off, it was big and bulky and blocked my vision. I couldn't just carry it all the time. I didn't want to trip over something. Second, once I raised it for cover, I couldn't go any faster than a crawl. So that meant escaping was out. And third, raising it for cover meant I wouldn't use my sword at the same time. I had to switch between attack and defense, which was a whole new, much more demanding style of fighting. No more blind bashing. Now I had to think about each blow and calculate the timing of attacks. I guess that's what real armored warriors must have done back in my world. Like me, they probably complained at first, but like me, they also probably stopped complaining after the first battle. The battle came after my day of training above ground. Venturing back underground, it came out into a cave and right into a targeting gaze of a skeleton. I raised its bow, I raised my shield. Bonk. My hand vibrated with the impact of the deflected arrow. Just a fluke? I wondered, looking up to see the bonehead reloading. Poor aim and a lucky bonk. Another shaft glanced harmlessly off. No fluke, I said, and a third arrow fell to my feet. No lucky angle or lousy aim on your part. Grinning it from ear to flat, barely visible ear, I strode slowly toward my foe. The shield actually works. I totally, absolutely, legitimately. I stopped pontificating. The moment I peeked back up over the top. The skeleton, still shooting, not only began to retreat, but did so in a side-to-side kind of frenzied oval. Are you afraid? Unable to answer, unable to do anything more than fire recklessly against the mobile wall, the bag of bones clacked crazily around. I blocked another shot, waited for the reload, then swung down hard from the protector. The skeleton reeled, then took another shot. Then again I blocked, and again I struck. Back and forth in the inevitable end. A hearty thank you, I told the new leg bone, for my carrots and wheat. Came a howling moan, ending my witty one-sided banner. Looking up, I spied an approaching zombie. Raising my shield, I absorbed the first blow without injury. Just like the skeleton, I told myself, and lowered the shield to a strike. Pow! The punch took me right in the jaw. You're supposed to pause, I barked angrily, and raised my shield again. After taking the next blow, I tried another slash. Oof, I breathed. Though dented armor and bruised ribs, gah, groaned the ghoul, oscillating my battered board. Retreating under a torrent of blows, I realized the shields didn't work in close combat. Whereas skeletons were a well-timed dance, it was more of a boxing match. Just like we used to do, I said, backing up a few paces. Sliding the shield in my backpack, I shouted, time to change back, and gave my attacker a good slash across the face. With renewed speed and agility, I tried to keep just a few paces away. You're tougher, I admitted, which means I gotta be smarter. Step in strike, knock it back, and retreat and waited for an advance. Adaption, I crowed, and giving it another slash. Is that one of the some wise old guy once said? Something about the key to survival not being strength, but the ability to change? In a fitting response, the lumbering bruiser kept doing the only thing he and his kind had ever been done. Make slow, pottling path right for me. That's why my ancestors conquered my world, I preached as a protector knocked them back. And that's why the saber-toothed cats and giant bears and all the other stronger, tougher killers ended up in museums. Gross, snarled the zombie, recoiling with another chop. And that's where you'll all be, I boasted, raising protector up to the coup de grace. When I finally conquer this, gasped Ghoul. My next blow knocked it out of sight. I asked, sounding like the creature not slain, taking a step forward to investigate. The zombie didn't disappear into a puff of smoke, this time actually falling out of sight, downward, and nearly taking me with it. Whoa, I wobbled, stopping short of the edge of a cliff. I hadn't been paying attention to where I was going. I'd been too focused on the fight. The zombie battle had taken me farther and farther down the cave, past my torches down the narrow bend. It didn't notice the temperature and humidity had risen, or that there had been light up ahead. Only when I knocked the zombie over the edge of the cliff I finally stopped and stared. Before me lay an underground canyon, deeper, wider, and just, well, grander than any of my tiny island up above. For a moment, all I could do was stare in awe at the subterranean world. Now I saw the source of the growing heat. Streams of red lava poured from the several openings in the cliffs. These long bright columns fell into a vast boiling lake. That I could also see water, thin blue lines falling from the walls, ceiling crashing down into the lava, turning the air into a stiffening steam bath. Just to look at the spectacle below made me dizzy, and imagining one misstep would put me all me way back. Venturing a few careful peeks, I thought I could see some dry land at the edge of the lava and water. How could I not investigate? Nothing wrong with curiosity, right? Of course not, I reckoned, as long as it's careful curiosity. I had started to dig a descending tunnel behind me in the cliff wall. Every few steps I opened the window into my bearings. I broke out into uneven but safe ground and stared up the amazement. The canyon made the first cave I discovered, which once looked so monstrous seemed like a rabbit hole. The heat down here was merciless, tropical, but I could really feel my lungs baking in each breath. I could also feel the sweat collecting under my armor, running down my back into my boots, and yet I could also feel sloshing steps in this stifling sauna. I could feel the least bit of thirst. Well, at least this world won't let me get dehydrated, I thought, blinking away stinking drops, and it don't seem to smell when I sweat, which is pretty cool. Cool if you're only the way of the heat down here. I noticed the nearest waterfall ended barely a few paces from my feet. Maybe dipping said feet into a few minutes could be a bad idea. Good. Bad idea, I yelped, as the current tried to wash me into the lava. Half running, half hopping, I got close enough to the fall tipping point to contain it in the ring of cobblestone. As the blue surge subsided, I gawked at the material it revealed. These are smooth black stones that I'm creatively calling blackstone, which, by this point, we've established that I am the geologist back home. Whatever their real name was, these rocks were beautiful to look at, and that the sake of a souvenir. I tried to mine up a block, and trying as far as I got, because my pickaxe iron blade was about to be as effective as my bare hands had been against a standard stone. Well, you ain't going nowhere, I shrugged at the shiny black surface, then froze when it answered with a guh. I snapped to attention, sword and shield ready. Of course, the blackstone hadn't grown back at me. Something else, something stinky and very familiar, was somewhere down here with me. I spun in a full circle. All was clear, nothing in the light of the lava lake. Guh, echoed another groan. Was Mr. Deadhead behind a rock wall, or... I crept over the edge of the lava lake, trying to see if I could find him on the other side. But big mistake. Peering across the recoiling soup, I heard another omnidirectional oomph. I thought I'd been careful. That 2 blocks away, I was not actually the edge. No chance of accidentally falling in, right? Grah, came a snarling ground. Then, bang! Festering fist bashed me in the back, throwing me forward and toppling into the lava. All I could see was red, breathing it in, choking on liquid fire. It was an indescribable nightmare. The feeling of burning alive. First came the shock of adrenaline, then the worst pain I ever felt. I had been beaten. I had been bitten. I had been prematurely blown up, and yet this is all the suffering I could hold a burning candle to the boiling and molten rock. Imagine every cell across your body, every nerve ending, every sensor capable of feeling suddenly rising in one wailing chorus of hell. And yet, it was a total immersion, the complete body-wide attack of the system, and that ended up saving my life. That was the pain receptors under my skin literally burned away. It was left in one numb nanosecond to move, and move I did. As the flames licked up before our blinded, sizzling eyes, I swam to all my might at the Blackstone bank. I don't know when I climbed out of the scalding stew, and if I could continue to burn on land. Whatever was left of my rational mind locked in the memory of the waterfall. Stumbling, fumbling. Mercy, I was bathed in soothing, quenching salvation. Bang! Rotting fist stabbed right at the corner, knocking me back toward the flames. I swung wildly, eyes beginning to hyperheal. They caught a flash of rotting green. Protector swung, the impact of flesh and bone vibrating through the blade. Right. Sight and mind cleared the time for me to see the reeling zombie, to realize that, by sheer luck, its back, not mine, faced the boiling lake. An instinct I charged, smashing my shield into its body. Grugh, growled the ghoul, and as I dug in my heels, ground slowly forward, and pushed it into incinerating sea. If only I could have celebrated, I just watched it burn, or done anything in the world except teeter backward and regenerating pain receptors swamped in my brain. Grunts, screams, howls. I threw myself back into the waterfall with a briefest shred of relief. All I got was a sense of memory of drowning. Eat! Wolfing down fish and bread, I could feel my body reform. And just as physical nerves were putting themselves back together, my mental nerves fell apart. Never again, I swore, fleeing for safety in the tunnel. Never go underground for any reason again. Stripped of my courage, traumatized to the core, and made it halfway up the stairs before another guh stopped me cold. They're waiting for me, I thought, swords shaking like grass in the wind. They're everywhere. And their voice came, not only from my ears, but from my head. Moo! Moo! That calming, doofy call floated through my memories. Somewhere above me was a pal who struck with me through all my trials and triumphs. What would she and my sheep friends have to say of surrendering their fear? Courage is a full-time job. Nerves returning, sword straightening, I ascended the rest of the stairs, and saw for the first time that the cliff walls around me were practically riddled with tunnels. I had been so preoccupied with the size of the canyon, so entranced with the awesome spectacle of lava, that I never noticed these mundane but clearly fatal openings. In fact, the zombie I had just heard growling at me was another cave opening across from the mine. So that's where your friend came from, I said. Looking down, I could see another hole. just above the waterfall, just big enough for one of those reekers to slouch through. And that's what the oof sound was, I continued, another ghoul, then hitting the ground before he pushed me in. Ugh, moaned the monster as I shook my head with shame. At least I learned something, I said with a sigh, and now it's burned in my brain, so to speak. Always be aware of your surroundings. Chapter 15. Take care of your environment, so it can take care of you. Standing on the edge of the cliff, viewing my courage and confidence return, I called out, "Not leaving yet, you hear me? I'm just getting started down here." "Oh," moaned a zombie, prompting me to wave. "Come on over," I taunted, hoping the enticed didn't fall to death. "Come and get me." I tried some more waving, more coaxing. I think even more tried dancing. I have tried to trick him into taking one more step over the side. The ghoul just groaned a couple more times and disappeared into the dark recess of the tunnel. "Of course," I said with a sarcastic shrug. "One time one of you mobile meatloaves does something smart. With the mindset of a vigilant hunter instead of an awestruck tourist, I made a mental note of every cave and shadow and possible enemy hiding place. I also noted every mineral deposit, every seam of coal, iron, and... Is that iron? I squinted at the bottom of the canyon, right next to the lava lake, and the collection of metal flaked rocks. They had to be iron, what else could they be? But their color seemed to just shade lighter than orange ore that I used to. Situational awareness, I told myself. Venturing back down the stairs is an official term, isn't it? Be aware of my surroundings. Reopening the entrance of the canyon floor was my eyes flicked frantically in all directions. Likewise, my ears scanned for any sound beyond the bubbling of the lake. I stamped gingerly across the black stone, shivering the heat radiating up through my feet. One false step, one missed mob. Stopping well away from the edge, I strategized how best I could do to get to the other side. Option 1 meant tunneling around, which meant possibly breaking through into more lava. Option 2 meant placing cobblestone along the side to create a walkway, which meant possibly falling or once again being pushed in. Do I risk it? Is it worth it? If I hadn't been so busy shuddering at either of these scenarios, if I hadn't been so traumatized by nearly getting killed 10 minutes ago, I probably would have come to an option there a lot sooner. Standing on the black stone with the water behind me and lava in front, I realized the solution. "Water cools lava," I cried, eyes darting from one to the other. "Just throw water on it." I turned and started back to the tunnel entrance, then stopped with a shake of my head. Why go back when I've got everything I need here? Placing a new crafting table on the blackstone, I started to make a furnace, then jumped back to the crafting table, promptly burst into flames. "Okay," I said, and the table puffed into smoke. "Blackstone transmits heat. Thanks to that tidbit, world." Laying down a new layer of cobblestone, which, by the way, was a lot easier than a slowly baking feat, I soon got my ingots smelting. I then built a cobblestone staircase right up to the base of the waterfall and filled my new bucket. Then poured the liquid in the farthest blackstone block. It worked exactly as planned. The black canyon around me darkened as lava cooled to shiny, solidified midnight. Well, I reassured myself, at least something good came from washing away my garden that time. Scooping up the water, I repeated my process 2 more times, then walked out onto the warm but solid surface. "Let's see," I began, trotting over the new mysterious ore. "What are you?" Placing a torch on the wall, I gasped, "Gold!" The word glittered as brightly as the bounty before my eyes. Back in my world, it was the purest symbol of wealth. People wore it, hoarded it, and killed for it. A plethora of terms were embedded in the language that rocked my eyes. Gold rush, gold standard, golden opportunity, and in my case, gold fever. "Mine," I breathed hypnotically, the word taking double meaning. "Mine!" By attacking the rocks like an enemy in battle, I picked furiously in the irresistible ore. 2, 3, 4, 5. As the 6th fleckled stone fell away, I gasped as I lay behind it. These freckles are lighter, whitish blue and sparkling like stars. "Oh my," I whispered. A few swings freed the lustrous cut gems. "Diamonds!" Minutes later, I was rushing to the surface, bars of gold in one hand, a collection of diamonds in the other. "I'm rich," I triumphed, ranting my victory dance across the meadow. The animals just looked at me for a minute, then went back to the gobbling green. "Don't you understand?" I asked, waving the wolf at them. "Don't you know what this means?" Moo snorted in the sidelong dance. Well, I trod loud fast to response. "I know I can't buy anything with it on this island, but look at it. Look how beautiful, how useful." Running over the crafting table, I shouted, "I mean, if iron is stronger than stone, then held up a gilded gold helmet. See?" And Moo countered the cow, forcing me to compare the 2 headpieces. True, the golden model looked prettier, but the metal itself seemed flimsier, softer, and less likely to protect me than iron. "Yeah, well, probably won't make that much of a difference," I argued, refusing to admit that she was right. Going back to the crafting table, I placed 2 diamonds I gathered above the single stick and came with the hardest, sharpest, most dazzling sword you can imagine. "Ha!" I belted. "What do you say to this?" Moo didn't say anything, and neither did the 2 parent sheep. At least I got an agreeable "bah" from Rainy. "Told you this stuff was valuable," I shouted, driveling at the flashing blade. "Move over, Protector," I said, packing away the obsolete iron cutlass. "It's time for the flash." Swaggering back to the hill, I called over my shoulder. "Who knows what else I would find of more diamonds than gold? Weapons, armor, maybe even new devices I haven't thought of yet. These are all just justifications for the desire driving at my feet. I'd fallen victim to a lot of things in this island: hunger, fear, sleep, deprivation, and now greed. We're in the money, I say, recalling the tune much older than me. La da dee dee dee. Stepping on stepping down into the cave, I thought we'd continue sauntering carelessly into the gloom. But I thought it was a figure up ahead. Not a zombie or skeleton, it was just dressed head to toe in black and a tall hat, and a great excitement about healthy, warm, normal skin. I It was a person. Hey, I shouted, seizing my sword and running forward. I'm not alone here, I've got company. Getting close to it enough, I babbled. Where'd you come from? How'd you get here? What's your glass shattered across my armor? The shards of bottle thrown at my new friend. Suddenly my body slowed, my limbs feeling like lead. What have you done? I slurred. The second bottle broke me across the face. Nausea, pain, poison, blood burning, lungs squeezing. I fumbled clumsily for weapons. Ha ha ha, I cackled my foe. Actually, taking pleasure in my suffering. It wasn't dumb beast acting from pure instinct. This was being could think. It could feel. Who could choose to do me harm? That's what my world judged as evil. Witch, I mumbled, just as another bottle appeared in his hand. My diamond blade flashed, and Witch tottered back, fighting through the wave of dizziness that caused laughter and the smoke. Food! But my pack was empty. In my mad rush for richness, I totally forgotten to restock. Something is hovering in Witch's final resting place. Sugar! Snatching up the little white pile, I staggered to the surface. Snap! A second bottle, and the one within my body. Snap! Poison versus hyper healing. Snap! Would I make it? Would I reach the surface in time? Crashing through the invisible walls of agony, I stumbled back up to the bunker and over the storage chest. Fish! The last two salmon went down and the poison ebbed. Ugh, I groaned, slumping forward, cooling my face on the smooth rock wall, and several moments for me to feel well enough to move again. And then my body did. My mind still had a long way to go. Are witches the only people in this world? You'll never guess, I said, shuffling out into the clean, crisp air of the meadow. What was down there? Moo, replied my friend sympathetically. Thanks for not judging me on this one, I said, twitching with my recent memory of pain. Reaching into my pack and bucket, I added, thanks for all the milk as well. Toppling the pail, I crafted and filled two more. I hope this worked as well as poison as it did on zombie flesh. Moo, said my generous pal, no doubt seeing the troubled look on my face. No, you're right, I agreed. This isn't just another battle with a new kind of mob. This is different. I paused to sift the feelings into words. It was so disheartening because, well, after all this time I found only someone like me. Moo, corrected, and caring animal. It was distinction that made all the difference. Right again, I said with a nod. It wasn't like me, it was looked like me, and it just cause someone looks like you doesn't mean automatically make them a friend. Gurp, growled my stomach, responding to the smell of the milk. Gotta finish healing, I said, and went outside for my fishing pole. Stepping out of the back door, I noticed the 3 squares of wheat were ripe. One loaf should be enough to restore me, I thought. I was about to combine the 3 bushels when I noticed something I'd never seen before. Remember way back when I tried to combine all my edible ingredients like I did sugar and milk into something that was more reason it seemed to work? And remember when I realized the key to combining wheat was just more wheat? Well, now, not only had my wheat and 2 lumps of sugar, 3 buckets of milk, and baker's dozen eggs. Maybe now, I said aloud, rearranging the model crafting table. 4 seconds later, piece of cake! No, literally, hovering in either end of the light brown frosted confection complete with little red sprinkles. I knew there had to be an answer, I told Moo, setting a large, round, yummy cylinder into the ground. Yes, the ground for some reason. You can eat a whole loaf of bread, but cake's gotta be eaten in slices. Go figure. I took one bite and let out a long, low, zombie-like mmm. Now, if you like desserts and if you don't know something seriously is wrong with you, then imagine going without them for nearly a month. Imagine living on a diet of fish, bread, and carrots, none of which have any spices in them, by the way, and suddenly biting into a slice of heaven. Oh, I groaned again, savoring the spongy, moist cake. You know, I said, Moo, this is the first sweet thing I've tasted since the word stuck out of the moment for a moment. Apples. Suddenly, the cake didn't taste so good. No amount of sugar could counter such bitter memories. They were so delicious, I confessed sadly. So crunchy and sweet, I burned up the trees that I could have made more. My mind flashed the accidental planting of birch saplings, and how easily they could have been oaks. I'll never taste an apple again, I said, shaking my head. They're all gone forever, because I thought the saplings were worthless. I took off my gold hat and looked at it. Worth, I repeated the Moo. I think the word means something, how much you want something and how hard it is to get. I sure understand that meaning now, because I know that one apple is worth more than all the gold and diamonds in this world. Moo, she sighed sympathetically. Thanks, buddy, I answered, but feeling bad about mistake isn't enough. Gotta make sure I don't make the same mistake again. Returning to the rest of the animals, I announced, from now on, I'm dividing the island in half. From Disappointment Hill to the Eastern Beach is mine. I can change it, develop it, and do whatever I like with it. But from the meadow and the western claw, the island belongs to itself. I put everything back the way I found it. Fill every hole, replant every tree, and leave nothing but footprints when I'm done. But to the cheers of moos and bads, I replied, we've got to take care of our environment so it can take care of us. And I think that's a lesson we can all take. Like, even though this is Minecraft, even though this is fake, and it's supposed to be this fake world, I think that's just a good thing we can learn. Like, you know, we take things for granted, like gasoline, plastics, and stuff. Like my water bottle is surrounded by plastic, which was once oil, which is now burned into a nice way and put into this plastic bottle. I think the world overlooks that. And I think we need to find a way to take care of it better. Not electric cars, of course, but like, just maybe a way to take care of it better, some way or another. But yeah, today we read pages 164 to 182. I'm a professional, totally, and set this up properly. And next time and we read chapters 14 to 15. Next time we will be reading pages 183 to 205. That hurts my soul to read because that means we're reading 22 pages. But that's okay because we're also going to be reading chapters 16 to 17, so we're going to have a nice break in between. But that's not what the in-between part we care about, because it's time for Reading Corner of the Day, doing it up fluffy way. Bop. Today we are learning about the Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen. Is that the entire name? Yep. The Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen. Wow. They, I guess they had some type of, fight over the name. They were like, oh, it's a Basset Hound breed. Oh, it's a Griffon breed. Oh, it's a Vendeen. Oh, well, it's small, so it's petite. Man, it's everything in the world. Actually, that's petite. It's not even the proper word of petite. So this dog is a little bit of everything. It's so sad that it can't even be named properly. But before I can make any fun of anything or have a strong opinion on it, I should always remember that I should learn of its history, so not only do I build my own credibility, and I can also become smarter, but also I just can be smarter in general. I mean, you should all do that too. Before you have any strong opinions on something, especially if it's like government, you should learn on its background. You should read on it and, just learn about it so you look smarter in front of your mom, your dad, your sister, and your plushie of a little guy wearing a Bruno Mars shirt. Just be smarter in general. And intelligence doesn't necessarily mean knowing things. It's knowing things and pushing them in the real world. So, for example, if I was in an argument about the Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen, if I just knew the things and I never spoke up on them, then I wouldn't be smart. I would just be intelligent. There's a fine line between the two. So I hope all of you who are listening can be smart and use these lessons that I teach very well. But yes. Now, for the history of the Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen, is that the PBGV, as it is affectionately known, is a competitive newcomer of the AKC world, American Kennel Company, but it is an ancient breed with roots in 16th century Europe. Her long French name provides an accurate description of the breed: petite, small, Basset low, Griffon rough-coated, Vendeen, its area of origin in France. This area, in the west coast of France, is filled with thick brambles, underbrush, and rocky terrain. Hunting in such terrain demanded that a dog in the coat that could withstand thorns, brambles. Short legs that could enable its wind away in the underbrush in pursuit of rabbits, but nimbleness and allowed it to run over rocks and logs without tiring. Thus, the PBGV is more than a wire-coated Basset Hound and more than a dwarf Grand Basset Griffon Vendeen, a breed that resembles slightly taller PBGV. Even though it's closely related to both breeds, in England in the mid-1800s, the PBGV was shown the Basset Hound was a wire-coated variety, but the PBGV is longer-legged, more nimble hound. In France, the Griffon Vendeen was considered to be one of the breed of two sizes until 1950. The two sizes were still interbred until the 1970s. The AKC recognized the PBGV in 1990, and since the PBGV has attracted many new admirers, such as the merry disposition and tousled carefree appearance. Wow, so this dog is was a governmental fight for who the heck owns this dog and what the heck it is. It's been everywhere, but only recently in the 1990s, which is only 30 years ago, was finally recognized, which is Crazy to think about, really. But yeah, now we know its very diluted history. What about its temperament? What if I want to own one of these dogs and have arguments about my dog and how I know it's better than it? Well, the temperament of the PBGV, as I will now happily call it, thank goodness they have a different name for it, is that despite its appearance, the PBGV is not a basset hound in a wire coat. It is merry, inquisitive, tough, busy dog, always on the lookout for excitement and fun. It loves to sniff, explore, trail, and dig, and true hunter at heart, amiable and playful, and is good with children, other dogs, and most pets. It is friendly towards strangers. It is stubborn and independent, and tends to dig and bark. Wow. So it's a basset hound, but not such a basset hound. Also, I don't know where they say he's a basset hound. He doesn't really look like one. He doesn't have the big floppy ears of one, but whatever. So now that you know the temperament, how do I keep this dog up and running? How do I keep it super friendly and super kind? Well, the upkeep of the PBGV is that it's not content to lie around. Its exercise requirements can be easily fulfilled. However, by a good walk on a leash or vigorous romp in the yard, it is happiest when dividing its time between house and yard. The coat needs weekly brushing and occasional tidying of strangling hairs. It's not that bad. Just every week you gotta brush them a little bit, that's all. Now, if you are a child, please cover your ears. If you're a teenager or an adult, please, if you own a Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen, then please grab a notebook, for this is important. It's the health section, which means anything of concerns, health, or what it's commonly seen with. Their major concerns are nothing. Minor concerns are odious externa, CHD, PPM, and some retinal and corneal conditions. They're occasionally seen with meningitis, patellar luxation, epilepsy, hyperthyroidism, intervertebral disc disease, and intervertebral disc disease. Your suggested tips when you take them to the doctor is for their hips and eyes. Their lifespan is 11 to 14 years. Now, I don't have any kids, and I want to know what this dog looks like and how it functions. Because, if they're not going to know, how do I know what I want with this dog? Imagine these pictures on here. Well, the form and function of the Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen is that a correctly proportioned PVGV is about 50% longer than it's tall, enabling it to push its way through dense thickets and make a strong bone of surprising nimbleness. Its gait is free, giving an appearance of a dog that is capable of a full day in the field. The tussle appearance results in, apart from its rough coat and long facial furnishings, this, in combination with a thick, shorter undercoat, gives the PBGV ample protection against brambles and the elements. Its expression, alert and friendly, reflects its nature. Now, for the final part of this episode today, because we've been recording for 35 minutes, I don't know if that's what it's going to be in the end because I need to edit it, is for the tier list. So now, let me give you a rundown. It's a tier list of the dog. So 5 is best, 4 is better, 3 is average, 2 is worse, 1 is the worst unless it comes to grooming. So, for the at a glance tier list, for the Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen, the energy level is at a 4, pretty energetic. Exercise requirements are at a 3, pretty average. Playfulness is at a 4, pretty playful. Affection level is at a 5, loving dog. Friendliness towards dogs is at a 4, pretty loving. Friendliness towards other pets is at a 2, kinda loving. Friendliness towards strangers at a 4, pretty loving. Ease of training is at a 1, that's very good. Watchdog abilities at a 4, pretty good. Protection abilities at a 1, not so good. Grooming requirements are at a 2, kinda worse. Cold tolerance is at a 3, which is average, and heat tolerance is at a 2, so they can't take the heat very well. The weight of both a male and female Petit Basset Griffon Vendeen is 25 to 35 pounds, pretty light compared to the dog we talked about last time. And a height of both male and female, it should be 13 to 15 inches. Oh, wow, we are having some royalty in the house next time we read, because next time we're going to be reading about the one we read about in the next episode. So that's going to be it for the day. I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Be polite, be efficient, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.